Oh, good morning. Welcome back. Elm Community Insight, Saturday, April 10th, 2021. And my name is Joy Burns, and this is my Dhamma talk, Reactive Mind and the Third Noble Truth. Can everybody hear me okay? I just want to double check. Great, thanks. So I have a quote from Ursula K. Le Guin that kind of characterizes reactive mind. Insofar as one denies what is, one is possessed by what is not. The compulsions, the fantasies, the terrors that flock to fill the void. So I'm going to give a recap of the Noble Truths. And I was originally going to read the quotes that I had read before from the Pali Canon, but I found an article that I had used in one of my Dharma talks that I gave at the New Haven Public Library back in 2018, which now feels like a lifetime ago that we would gather at the library. And it's part of it is from an article written by Sylvia Boorstein, The Message of the Buddha's Four Noble Truths, and it's from Lion's Roar. And the first noble truth is life is challenging for everyone. Our physical bodies, our relationships, all of our life circumstances are fragile and subject to change. We are always accommodating. And the second noble truth is the cause of suffering is the mind's struggle in response to challenge. The third noble truth, the end of suffering, a non-struggling, peaceful mind is a possibility. And just to finish off, I'll read the fourth noble truth. The program for ending suffering is the Eightfold Path. It is 1, wise understanding, realizing the cause of suffering. 2, wise intention, motivation to end suffering. 3, wise speech, speaking in a way that cultivates clarity. 4, wise action, behaving in ways that maintain clarity. 5, wise livelihood, supporting oneself in a wholesome way. 6, wise effort, cultivating skillful, peaceful mind habits. 7, wise concentration, cultivating a steady, focused, ease-filled mind. 8, wise mindfulness, cultivating alert, balanced attention. And the quote that I had from the Pali Canon was the Buddha saying, and this, monks, is the noble truth of the cessation of dukkha. The remainderless fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of that very craving. This, in essence, is the third noble truth. The letting go of that very craving. And so reactive mind is when the mind is in full tilt craving mode. And the question is, how do we cut away this craving? The reactive mind is like sorrow and lamentation and storms of grief and despair. One quote that I love from the first Noble Truth in the Pali Canon is association with unloved, separation from loved, craving for sensual pleasures, craving for becoming, craving for not becoming. So whatever it is that I want that I can't have, whatever it is that I have that I don't want, whoever it is that I want to be with that I can't be with, and the people who I'm with who I don't like very much, who I wish would go away. So it's the constant states of unsatisfactoriness that we find ourselves in. And so I was driving home last night, and it was a beautiful evening. It was close to dusk. The sun was setting. It was 55 degrees, so wonderful, perfect temperature. I could wear a light jacket and playing some music. And it's Friday and I'm out of work. And I make a turn onto a one-way street. And good thing I was paying attention, because in the middle of the street is this guy sitting on his motorcycle, making out with his girlfriend in the middle of the street. And so my first thought and what I said out loud was, "You've got to be kidding me, right? Come on." And then I immediately said, "Oh, this is what reactive mind is. All righty, let's practice a little bit of patience. Let's remember what it was like to be young in the springtime. It's a little bit of empathy and maybe a little bit of compassion for myself that, boy, that was a hair trigger. That happened pretty quickly. Bada bing." So looking at that, and the inspiration for my talk actually has to do with the fact that a dear friend of mine is moving to the West Coast. And we shared an office together for the last 2 years. And her last day, coincidentally, was April Fool's Day, April 1st. And I had a lot of apprehension about the last day and a lot of projection and anxiety, panic attacks, dread, longing, craving that she wouldn't leave, that she'd find some reason to stay, because she's been my person throughout the pandemic. She's been the person I've seen 4 days a week, got to talk to, hang out with. And now she's leaving. And I'm feeling very lonely. And so I found myself saying the Ruth King, Ruth King's take on the three characteristics, the phenomena, the mind, and of the world. The Pali words are anatta, anicca, and dukkha. And Ruth King's take on it is, it isn't personal, it isn't perfect, and it isn't permanent. Nothing's gonna last. Even my sharing my office with my dear friend, that was gonna end eventually, and April Fool's Day was the day. And so as we're about to say goodbye, I even said out loud, here it is, nothing's permanent. And I said to myself, it isn't personal that she's moving out to the West Coast. You know, she didn't say, I'm gonna get joy. I'm gonna move 3,000 miles away. No, it wasn't personal at all. It's just life happening. People make decisions based on the needs of their family. And I understood that. And I had to take a couple of deep breaths in and out as I let that sink in. I gave her a big hug and I told her that I loved her. And I savored that moment of that hug because I haven't had many hugs during the course of the pandemic. Not a lot of touch with other people. And so that hug was particularly special and important. And then I watched her walk away and I was crying. Not permanent, not personal. And I didn't do it perfectly or whatever way I thought I was supposed to say farewell and goodbye. It wasn't perfect, but it was the best that I could do. It was me navigating the ups and downs of reactive mind. And isn't that what we all do? We all have this aspiration of not clinging to our friends and our dear ones, of not craving more time with them. And yet all things must come to an end. And sometimes we have to let go. And maybe it takes just a little bit of faith that I'm going to see her again one day. As she walked away, she said, "So let's meet up for vacation in Jamaica at that resort you went to with your sister." Yeah, having some faith, we'll meet again. And recognizing, being with that reactive mind, not trying to push it away or make it something it's not. Here I am, my dear, with my dear friend, reactive mind again. Can I give it all those emotions, some breath and some mindfulness? Practice that eightfold path, right mindfulness and right speech. And even though we're not in the fourth noble truth yet, to let some of that arise. And realizing that I have those seeds of those practices because that's what we spent a month for each month in 2020 practicing the Eightfold Path. So those seeds are here in this moment with us as we meet whatever adversity, surgery next week, challenges with our family members and our kids, aging parents, our own illnesses, economic uncertainty. The current surge of cases in New Haven, people scrambling to get vaccinations. All of these are things that are so easy to react to. And how do I meet that? Can be patience. Oh, I know you. Here you are again. Clear recognition. Yeah. Some empathy, some compassion. Oh, My dear friend, craving and clinging, wanting the unwanted, wanting what I love. How do we meet all these things? How do we release the clinging and the craving? How do we find the freedom in recognizing reactive mind? And so here's what the Buddha says. When we see clearly, we behave impeccably out of love on behalf of all beings. When we see clearly, we behave impeccably out of love on behalf of all beings.